So the first thing you want to do when you're setting up your column is you want to put a piece of cotton on the very bottom of the centrifuge tube. So I recommend taking a piece of cotton and rolling it between your fingers. It goes down the tube a lot better. Taking a wooden dowel or wooden stick, and you can push it down. You want to make sure it's nice and snug on the very bottom of this, so none of the silica gel will come through. Do not use a glass pipette to do this because it can break. You don't want broken glass. Then what I do is I take my silica gel, and you can just put it directly into the centrifuge tube. Just be careful it doesn't go everywhere, to whatever level that it says in the procedure. In this case I'm going to go to 8 mils. And you want to keep as much silica gel in the container as possible. Okay, so I get about 8 mils there. I usually wipe off outside of the tube just so there's not silica gel going everywhere when you start the column. Alright, so you have your centrifuge tube like that. Then you clamp it. Like so. So first you want to equilibrate the column. How we do this is take the first solvent we're going to use for the column and add it to the column itself. Right now it doesn't matter if we disturb the silica gel or not. There's nothing on the column. So you can pour whatever mixture you have directly onto the column. And some of it runs off the side. It's not a big deal at this stage. Do not continue that. So you can see here there's the liquid level, and the silica gel now has liquid coming through. You will have a cap to speed up this process. There's a hole in it, so you can hook tubing to the airline. Make sure it's the airline here. And you can put pressure on this, and kind of air pressure, and just push it down. And this will just help the solvent move through the column more swiftly. So our goal is to get all the silica gel nice and wet. That's the whole part of the equilibration. You don't want any air bubbles in your column. So I'm going to take a little bit of solvent going through to get rid of all the air bubbles. You should obviously see solvent traveling through the column to know that you have enough solvent in there. Now you can see solvent's coming through. Oh, my silica gel now looks like it's wetted down. It'll be easier to see when you actually run it. I usually like to get all the silica gel also off the sides of the column. So I take one of those long glass pipettes, just pipette off the side of the column, make sure there's no silica gel there. Makes it a little bit easier to see everything. Alright, once the column equilibrated, so you can tell that all the silica gel has gotten wet. There's no air bubbles, it's all consistent. What we're going to do is push the solvent to the very top of the silica gel. Great. And still see there's solvent here. We just keep going. So there's no longer solvent above the silica gel. Right, that's about where I want to be. And it's kind of hard to see. You don't want to keep pushing that you actually see the actual silica gel starting to dry out. That means you need to add more solvent here. So once the solvent's all the way down to the top, then we can actually load our sample. You don't want to have solvent above this because what it will do is dilute your actual sample and the separation will not be as good. Alright, so what we do is we dissolve our compound. We have this dye mixture here in a minimal amount of solvent. The first lab, don't worry about that. It's just the toluene. And we're going to transfer this to the column. So you want to do your best not to disturb the silica gel. So I put this on the side of the column very gently. Kind of see I'm kind of in a circular motion. So again, we don't want to disturb the silica gel here. Okay? So then what you want to do is let this get to the very top of the silica gel. I didn't have a lot, so just by gravity it's doing that. For your lab, you're going to have a lot of solvent, so you're going to want to use this and push it down and you're adding your stuff. Okay, so now I've added my compound. Now I want to start actually collecting fractions here. So we're going to do that by using test tubes, shown here. There's a variety of ways you can actually collect it. My favorite style is I actually just put the test tube underneath, like so, and transfer that way. The other way you can do it, that some people also like, is you actually, this is high enough, just move the tube underneath, and you can just shift it over as you go. Whatever works for you, this is the way I like to do it. So now that you've added your actual stuff here, you get a clean pipette. Now you're going to add the solvent and you're going to start running your column. So again, you don't want to disturb the top of the silica gel, so I always try to add the solvent on the sides. You can also put sand on top of the column, that will also help not disturb the silica gel as much. So just be very careful in the beginning that you don't disturb it. You don't want to pour solvent on top of this because it's going to disturb the silica gel, and then your bands are going to be very wide and you're not going to get good separation. So you can keep adding. The more solvent you add, the less careful you have to be because it's farther and farther away. You can see I'm going a little faster as I go along. So I can fill that up with whatever solvent I'm using. Alright, and you don't want to do gravity, this will take forever. So what you want to do again, use that airline and you can just collect your fractions. Probably 1/2 to 3/4 of the way full for the test tube. The less amount you use in the test tube, the better the separation is going to be. So then I can just switch test tubes, fractions. I can add more solvents. Fortunately, you have to add lots of solvent here. And we just keep repeating. Like so. And you'll keep running until your stuff's come off the column. You can tell your stuff's come off the column because you can actually see the fractions and see which fractions contain product. In the first lab, we kind of tell you how much to use for each part of the column, how much solvent.